Does it give you any sort of pause for thought as well around attacks that, the personal never works around, it might get pretty willing in Parliament, but just to pause and think, well, let's not go the person?
Well, I'd like to think most political leaders don't engage in political attacks that attack the substance. Obviously, it's willing in the chamber, but importantly, most people are able to park that once they leave the debating floor and engage in other activities, such as, for example, playing touch footy with members of the opposite party. But we should always be very conscious of our language and not get too personal, to reflect on people's positions and policy differences rather than saying other things. Most people get into politics for the right reasons. They're patriots. We just have different views about how to improve the country.
Okay. I've asked you a few times around assistance for Ukraine. It would be remiss of me not to mention the $250 million package, drones for Ukraine in their war against the invasion from Russia. Why was this specific assistance selected?
Well, this is responding to the requests of the Ukrainian government. We've been very focused on supporting their needs with practical assistance. This $250 million goes to drones, it goes to boots and other personal equipment for soldiers, it goes to artillery ammunition, air-to-ground munitions and anti-air missiles. These are all things that Ukraine desperately need, and so we're privileged to support them with the announcement from the Deputy Prime Minister. And this builds on recent announcements, for example, when Richard Marles visited the region only a couple of months back. In fact, I was visiting SIPAC in Melbourne today to make a major drone announcement for the Australian Defence Force, and they've been supplying drones to Ukraine for a couple of years now, funded by the Australian government. So this is really important to support them against Russian aggression that's going on right now in Europe.
If in the future the US did pull support or dramatically pare it back, Ukraine feels as though it would be a catastrophic blow to its defence. Do you think Western nations would be willing to dip into their budgets enough to stop that from happening?
Well, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals about future policies or potential policies in the United States, but what I can say is that there is a huge resolve in Europe and the United States to support Ukraine against Russian aggression. I represented Australia at the Munich Security Conference a year and a half back, and I was struck by the range of politicians from different parties united in supporting Ukraine and united in investing in their own defence and their own military to combat Russian aggression. I met with politicians from the German Greens Party, for example, who are a far cry from the Australian Greens, who support strong defence spending because they're seeing what's happening in the world, and they know that a strong deterrence impact of a strong military is critical to preserving democracy around the world.
Pat Conroy, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.